Hi everyone, today I want to talk about my Paul McCartney collection that's not my Paul McCartney collection. Hi everyone, a few months ago in one of my first videos I went through my entire Paul McCartney CD collection, but what I didn't show was some of the discs that I've got that feature Paul McCartney but they're not actually his albums. So I wanted to show you those today because there might be some here that you're not familiar with and that you might want to look at picking up yourself. I'm also looking for help from you all to tell me, is there anything that I'm missing? Because this is probably the part of my collection where there's most likely to be gaps. I know this isn't exhaustive. There's various things I'm going to mention that I know I haven't got, but if you can tell me what else there is out there that I didn't know I didn't have, that would be really useful. So let's show you what kind of things you might be able to pick up that contain Paul McCartney songs that you're not going to get anywhere else, but aren't actually his albums. The first one I'm going to show you is this. This is called The Last Temptation of Elvis. It's from 1990 and it was issued by the NME magazine. Now on here you've got Elvis covers of Elvis songs from all sorts of artists like Bruce Springsteen, Holly Johnson from Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Viv Stanshall actually is on here. I've just noticed and never realised that, from the Bonzo Dog Doodah Band, Robert Plant. But what you have got on here is Paul McCartney singing It's Now or Never, the old Elvis classic. So it's a decent version, it's not bad at all, and you can pick this up. It's not the easiest disc to find, but sometimes you can find it quite cheap, and that might be one, if you want to add that to your collection, then that might be one that's worth picking up at some point. Next we've got, this is called 20th Century Blues, The Songs of Noel Coward. I'm going to try and get you a... There you go, managed to get you a better view of the cover there. So this is an album that came out in 1998, and it's got all sorts of people who were sort of famous at the time. Robbie Williams, Damon Albarn's on there, Elton John. But what you have got is a song called A Room with a View, performed by Paul. So this is a song written by Noel Coward and performed on here by Paul. And it's a bit in his sort of tradition of songs like You Gave Me the Answer and Honey Pie, etc. It's that kind of old standard kind of song. So you're probably not going to, I don't think you're going to get that anywhere else, but on this album called 20th Century Blues, The Songs of Noel Coward. Okay. And there's this one. This is the Prince's Trust 10th Anniversary Concert. So this is from 1986. You may remember that Paul did this. He'd done Live Aid the year before, which was the first time he'd appeared live since 1979, but he did this the year after. And what we've got on here, just at the end of the album, I'll try and show you here, you can see the last two songs there are Get Back and Long Tall Sally. They were his two live versions there. And he was quoted in interviews after this, well, a few years later, saying that this particular concert was one that gave him the feeling that he wanted to go out and perform live again. And then, of course, about 3 years later, after Flowers in the Dirt came out, he went on his massive world tour, Beatles songs, etc. And you could potentially say that this gave him some encouragement to want to do that. So that's worth picking up if you can find that one. This one is a film soundtrack album, and this is the soundtrack to a film called The Inlaws. So this CD is from 2003, and there's 3 Paul songs on here. There's I'm Carrying, which is just the straightforward version from London Town, but there's 2 items on here that could particularly be of interest to you. What you've got is track 1. Let's try and get you a focus on that. Come on. And that's A Love for You. Now this is different to any of the mixes that you would find on any of the Paul McCartney archive collections, so it's worth getting for that. And then number 4 is interesting, Live and Let Die, track 4. Now I didn't know about this one when I got it because I bought it for A Love for You, played track 4 thinking it's just going to be the studio version of Live and Let Die. It is not. It's a live version from the one hand clapping concert that he did in, was it 1974? Tell me if I'm wrong there. There's been various cuts from that issued on the archive collection, but not Live and Let Die. So that is the only place that you'll currently find that particular, it's like a TV studio live version of Live and Let Die. You will only find that on here. So that's worth getting. It's a really nice version as well. The next one I'm going to show you is, this is a charity album called Help that came out in 1995. And on here, Paul teamed up with two British legends, Paul Weller and Noel Gallagher. And they performed under the name the Smoking Mojo Filters, and they did a cover of Come Together, the Beatles song. Really nice cover. And you can find it on here. There is also a CD single that's of the Smoking Mojo Filters Come Together, which I've got, but I couldn't find when I was getting ready for this video, so I'm a bit annoyed about that. I'm going to have to go and search for that and find that. So yeah, the Smoking Mojo Filters, Paul McCartney, Paul Weller and Noel Gallagher doing Come Together, you'll find on this Help CD, which was for the War Child charity. And another film soundtrack album now. This is music from Vanilla Sky, the Tom Cruise film. So, Paul did the theme song for this, called Vanilla Sky. There was a live version issued on the Back in the US live album. Now, the Back in the World equivalent that was released not in America doesn't have Vanilla Sky on, Back in the US does. But this is the actual studio version, and to my knowledge, that's the only place you're going to find his original studio version of Vanilla Sky. So that's worth getting hold of. I think you could probably pick that up very, very cheaply. Now this one, this is nice. I do like this. About 18 months ago, roughly, maybe not quite that long ago, a film came out called Ethel and Ernest, an animated film, a British film, and the title track for that is In the Blink of an Eye, which was a new Paul McCartney song at the time. And I really like that song. It's very much one of sort of Paul's older style songs, featuring his sort of current voice as he sounds in his mid-70s. But it's a really nice song, is In the Blink of an Eye. But you've also got a bonus on here. It's not actually Paul's not involved on this, but there's a cover of Walking in the Park with Eloise, which you may remember was the released under the name The Country Hams, round about the time of the Venus and Mars album, which was Paul, and it was recorded in Nashville with some musicians from there. So there's a cover of that on here, which is nice to have. It's not gonna rock my world or anything, but it's good to have. But In the Blink of an Eye, you'll only find that on the Ethel and Ernest soundtrack album, so that's worth getting hold of. Couple more to go. This one, so this is an album from Lulu called Together, and this is from 2002. And what you've got on here, this was Lulu doing duets with all sorts of different people, but we've got on here track 3, I'll try and get you a close-up of that, is Lulu doing a song called Inside Thing. Where is it? There it is, track 3, Lulu and Paul McCartney. So the song's called Inside Thing, which doesn't really have anything to do with Paul, but it keeps featuring elements of Let 'Em In. But it's new. It's a new recording by Paul. So Paul's singing parts of Let 'Em In, new as it was then, but it's sort of interspersed with this other song called Inside Thing. It's quite a good song. I enjoy listening to that. So that's worth picking up. That's Lulu Together from 2002. Last one to show you was a tribute album to Ian Dury from Ian Dury and the Blockheads. And this came out in 2001. And it's people of the time covering Ian Dury songs. And on here, track 3, I'll try and show you this, is Paul singing I'm Partial to Your Abracadabra. And it's a good fun song. Well, Ian Dury songs generally were a lot of fun. And this is Paul he's sort of hamming it up quite a bit. And it's a good rocker. So it's worth trying to get hold of this Ian Dury cover album called Brand New Boots and Panties. Okay, so that's worth getting. There's a few that I know I haven't got. So it's just worth mentioning those. There is a song called My Best Love that Paul sings on an album called Rare Bird Alert, which is by Steve Martin and the Steep Canyon Rangers. Yes, Steve Martin, the film star, but as you probably know, is also is he one of the world's great banjo players? I'm not an expert there, but he's phenomenal banjo player. So Paul sings a really nice ballad on Rare Bird Alert called My Best Love. That's definitely worth hearing. Other ones that I know I haven't got, he did a duet with Johnny Cash called New Moon Over Jamaica. I haven't got that. He did a duet with George Michael called Heal the Pain, which I also haven't got. And then, of course, there's the stuff with Kanye West. So there was Kanye, Rihanna and Paul, 4 5 Seconds, which was a big smash a few years ago. So I keep seeing the CD single on eBay. I'm sure I'll pick that up at some point, but I haven't got that just yet. And also, there's Kanye West had a song called All Day. And you may or may not know that that song features Paul's song When the Wind is Blowing, or Two Fingers as it's sometimes called. So that song's just come out a couple of months ago on the Wildlife Paul McCartney Archive Collection. His original, it's a beautiful song where it's just him, mainly him whistling, but also singing When the Wind is Blowing, along with acoustic guitar. Now, when he was working with Kanye West, Kanye sampled that, the tune of When the Wind is Blowing, and he's used it on one of his songs called All Day. It's completely different once Kanye's got hold of it, as you can imagine. You may or may not like it. I can't say I'm a particular fan of Kanye West, but it's interesting what he's done with it. So it's worth having a listen to that as well. So that's what I've got and what I know I haven't got. As I said earlier, if you know of something that I need to be adding to my collection that Paul's appeared on, the McGear album, for example, just forgotten about that one. Paul's brother Mike, essentially Wings, did the backing, if you like, for the McGear album in the early 70s, which I believe is getting a reissue in a couple of months' time. So I'll definitely be picking that up. But other than that, if there's any that you know of that I haven't mentioned, then there's a good chance that I don't know about it or had forgotten about it, and I would definitely be interested in trying to pick up a copy of that. So please let me know in the comments, and I'd love to hear from you. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.